Hello, everybody. Couple of minutes late, but we're just getting things sorted out. Hello to everyone that's in the chat room already. Already people getting stuck in. You can see, you guys can see Jonas. He's our special guest this week. So we're gonna when we get to the official show, which starts on the hour, we'll obviously introduce him properly to everybody. But we're just doing tests now. We haven't seen Daren yet. Haven't seen him. Not sure if he's coming. Did email him. He never replies to my emails. How rude. It's all right. I'll get over myself. Okay. So let's just check a couple of levels. Just make sure I'm not peaking. I'm good. Now, Jonas, do you want to just give us a couple of sentences?
Yeah. Hello.
Keep going.
Does it? Do I sound good?
Yeah, I think you're good. Yep. And
Perfect.
Cool. Now we could probably mute the other two. That's fine. I'll leave those. Rightio. And yeah, everybody is in the chat room is growing, so that's good. Yeah, we're just waiting for Daren, I guess. This is kind of the pre-show when I first started doing this, Jonas, was like we needed every second of that 15 minutes of the pre-show because it was like technical issues and, you know, like, because you just don't know what you're doing. Like, you're a noob, so you have no, you know, you've got all these issues. And then as you kind of get used to doing this a bit more, I mean, I've done, and this is the 91st live stream I've done now. So I'm not saying it's like a big number, but not after 91 times of doing it, you'd think you might pick up one or two tips, you know, along the way, right? So it's kind of getting easier, I would say. For me, the internet connection sorted, the software sorted. I'm kind of starting to get more comfortable setting the show up. It's only just taken me 91 shows to get there. But we'll see how we go. No pro. Yeah. Definitely not a pro. You'll find that in a minute. You may regret this. You may regret this. But no, it's awesome. So for those who are just joining in, we're not sure if Daren's coming or not. And if he doesn't, that's fine. We can, as I said it right on cue, we've got something. Yeah. We've got a blurry image. I can hear you, but we've got a blurry image of something. Oh, it's your hand. Here he is. By the way, we're streaming, so just before you say anything embarrassing, just thought I'd let you know that the whole world is watching.
Oh God! I'm running just on the webcam. As you can see, everything's down in the studio, and I'm having trouble getting all the screen and everything is all out of sync. So, and you'll have to just make do with the audio.
The audio's okay, so I'm okay with that. Now, Daren, introductions to you. Looking below you, there's Jonas from Torso Electronics.
Hello, Jonas.
Hello. Nice to meet you.
Yes, nice to meet you as well.
So he's across that the ditch, you guys call it, and he's in Denmark, in Copenhagen. And Daren is in Manchester, in the United Kingdom.
Yes, in full lockdown.
And full lockdown for you. And if you're wondering where I am, I'm in Perth, Australia, on the western part of Australia, which is one of the most remote cities in the world, actually, which is awesome. This is one of the reasons why I like to do this, because it gets me connected to the world, which normally is, you know, such a long way away for me, which is cool. 9 minutes before the main show starts, Daren, now obviously you might remember Jonas's awesome T-1. We talked about this ages ago, didn't we, the T-1 on our show?
Yeah.
I think it might have been a Kickstarter.
As soon as it was. I think it was on, I don't know that it had been put as a Kickstarter at the time.
Yeah. So I think
I can't remember when I first seen it.
Well, we've done it twice. So we talked about it really, really early. And then, and I can't actually work out what episode that was because it was such a long time ago. And then we talked about it again in May this year. I think you guys got a bit more press around May. But that might have been when your Kickstarter finished or something. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in Australia, we have this saying: you're gonna get the third suck of the salve. You probably think, what's that mean? It's just a saying. It's like a third crack, a third go. But this time it's a real go.
Yeah.
Rightio. Everyone's joining in the chat. It's slowly growing. We've got 20 people according to 21 now. So it does tend to grow slowly, and then on the hour, because that's the advertised time the show starts, it usually picks right up to about, I don't know. We had a record. Was it last week? Yeah, I think it was last week. You had a record, and I think I said there was 97 during the show, but I actually found out that it was more than that.
Okay.
And I can't even remember the figure. The official number was 100 and something. I did post it on one of my socials. 103, I think, which is a record for me. Now that number is what they call concurrent viewers, not total viewers. So there was about 3,300, 3,400 or something total viewers during the show. But that 100 is how many people at that very second watching. Yep.
Oh, okay.
Which is pretty cool.
I'm looking forward to this. This is only maybe the third time I'm doing a show like this. So
wow,
I'm looking forward to it. A bit nervous also. So.
Don't be nervous. Look, it's just like a Zoom meeting or Skype call. Just think of it that way.
Just pretend you're talking to us three.
Yeah, just pretend you're just talking to us. We won't bite. Now I'm just pouring my beer here. Try not to spill it. Okay, so what have I got today? Gentlemen and ladies, let me just zoom in on me. I've never ever tried this before. This is called Beer Farm. I thought that'd be a good start. I mean, a farm that makes beer. And this is just a lager. So we'll see. West Coast, it says. Now, I don't know what West Coast it is, whether it's my West Coast, your West Coast. No, made in Australia. Okay, good. So that's the color of it. It's kind of very, very light yellow. Very light yellow. So that's nice head on that one this week. It's not a light lager. It's a very bitter one. Nice, though. You never really go wrong with beer. All right, that was just to kill a couple of minutes while we're waiting. Okay, 5 minutes before the show starts, and we're at 32 people now, so growing, which is good. The usual suspects are in the chat room.
I thought Andy was going to be on.
No, Andy's having a sabbatical. He's actually in the chat room. He's...
I've just seen him.
He's having a little sabbatical this week for good reason too. So he can entertain the chatties in the chat room. I mean, I would love to be a chat room person. I can never get a chance to be a chat room person. Someone else can run the show. Come down here and run the show for me, and I can be a chat room person. It's good fun. Okay, now I've got socials ready. Okay, so when we do socials, Jonas, we're going to, I think we go to the screen, and what you can see on this side is the YouTube chat, and down below is the Discord chat, and then right down the bottom is highlighted. I can highlight a specific question. So when we do Q&A, what we'll do is once we've worked out which question we want you to answer, we'll put that down the bottom. And I mean, I can change the screen at the moment. It's got my ugly face in it. I can swap it over with yours, so it's no problem there, and you can answer it that way, or we can just go full Monty on you like that. If you're happy. All right. 3 minutes to go, and we're all sorted, and hopefully the stream stays stable. It usually does. It's pretty good. We've had some rain here today where I live, and a few times it was raining. It was like really heavy, and I'm like, oh No. Don't wreck anything.
Did it cause trouble? No.
Well, but when we have rain here, it really dumps a lot of water at like in a very short period of time, and so it kind of semi floods. And a lot of the roads and everything are well built for this. This is kind of, it's dry a lot, and then when it rains, it just dumps a hell of a lot of rain. So we've always got water in our dams and things like that, but we don't have that sort of constant rain, which is kind of, all the way through the year. We kind of have these periods where it just dumps rain and then dry spells. It's kind of what Australia's like. It's like a arid country. So
I went to Australia a couple of years ago, but I never went to Perth, unfortunately. I only managed to get to Sydney and Melbourne.
Right. Well, they're good places.
I was there with. I'm playing in a band as well, and we were signed to an Australian record label called Future Classic.
Oh right, yeah, wow, nicely done.
So we played a couple of shows there. That was great.
Yeah, we've got one guy who's in Sydney in the chat room. His name's Mega Mark. You'll see him in the chat room.
Mm-hmm.
He lives over that way. So it's an ungodly hour for him right now. It'd probably be almost midnight. Or no, it'd be almost 1 a.m, wouldn't it? 3 hours difference, I think, now. Anyway, we'll work it out. So yeah, obviously he's on coffee or something stronger.
Something stronger, maybe.
All right, now what I'm going to do now is I'm going to hit to the magic button and we're going to start the show. Let's go.
Okay.
Hi everyone, welcome to another awesome Saturday. Awesome to have you here. Special day today because we've got a special guest all the way from Denmark in Copenhagen, and that is Jonas Kenton. We're going to talk to him in a second. Also, we've got our regular Daren's here as well. We'll say good day to him in a second as well. We've got a few bits and pieces of news to talk about this week. You thought last week was big with news. Well, there's some cool things to talk about this week. It never ever goes away in news. It's awesome to do that, and we're in a really good time at the moment to be a synth nerd. Some really, really funny memes this week, and if you've been sleeping under a rock, you will definitely get a laugh out of these. Most people would have seen them though, but let's have a quick look at everyone that's here, and you can see there's Jonas down the bottom, Daren up the top, and I'll start with you, Jonas, because you're the noob this week. Say a big hello to everybody and introduce yourself.
Hello, I'm Jonas. And I'm really happy to be on your show, Ras. I'm very excited.
Fantastic. I just took a quick sip of beer. Now, you're from Torso Electronics in Denmark, in Copenhagen. And
yes,
we'll tell everybody a little bit later about why you're here. So just for now, you can just be like Daren and just go for a bit of a ride while we get through our normal segments. So let's cross to Daren. Hello, Daren. How's your week been? Wow, look at your studio.
Well, as you can see,
yeah,
it's hectic.
You've been busy.
Yeah, so I have a quick studio tour because it's absolutely nothing in the studio. It's completely trashed.
Yeah, looks a bit like my studio now.
So, but if you see me looking up, it's because I've now redesigned the front desk.
Okay.
So running
the monitor
screen.
above the monitor, right?
Yeah.
Just to make your neck worse.
Well, it's actually to free up space on this side where the monitor used to be.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I used to see you watching over there. Yeah. Okay. Good.
Yeah. So now it's freed up space for hopefully kit at some point.
Fantastic. Well, it's coming along. I mean, look, that's progress, isn't it? I mean, you can't really sort of deny that. It's kept you busy. It's kept you in, you know, instead of just being bored watching Netflix like everyone else does on lockdown, you've been mucking around with your studios. That's not a bad thing.
Yeah, apart from the fact that trying to get on here, putting all the computers back together, nothing's working seamlessly, so it's a bit of a pain. For some reason, my screen's all over the place.
Nothing ever works seamlessly. We'll say a quick hello to all the chatties as well. So I'll go across today. Every week I like to say hello to the chatties because they're awesome. And we've got a good crew here. Wow, this beer is making me burp. It's a good bubbly beer, this one. ASIO Head, it's the first in. So big hello to you. JX3D, big hello to you, mate. Wagoo's there. Wayne Murray. Who else we got? Inky's there. JP Page 2. Mr. Mac is there. Mark's there. John Shea's there. Grey Wolf, awesome to see you, buddy. Nice to have you back. For those who don't know who Grey Wolf, he's the guy that is the developer of Blue Up. Andy Brooks is there. Good to see you there, buddy. Hope you're feeling better, mate. Just rest up, take it easy, put your feet up, have whatever you need to have to make yourself better. So yeah, heaps of people in there, and I'm just going to quickly scroll because it takes ages. Finn's there. Big hello to you, matey. Yeah, and I'm sure there's others that have just popped in towards the end. And if I missed your name, just shout out, or you can just throw your synth at the screen in disgust because we can't forget that. Anyway, having said that, let's get on to the first segment, which hopefully might give you a laugh. Yes, you have reached the end of the internet where I believe somewhere along the line you actually do stumble across these things called memes. Now this week, have the memes been busy? Wow. Now I actually had to really hold back in how many I was going to show you, but we're not going to do 4 like we normally do. We're going to do kind of more than that, but it's going to be, each is going to be a subset of one, and you'll get why when I show you the first one. Here we go. This is like one of those colouring in books, right? Oh no, Nick has to play his synth part for the band, but he's forgotten his patch. Can you help him out? Draw a patch on the synthesizer for Nick so he can finish his gig and get paid, right? So this is the blank one that's come out, right? And then people in Facebook were submitting their entries. Now you can just imagine how bad this got, and some of them were pretty bad. But we'll start off with this one because everyone knows that he loves PWM. Oh dear. But it got kind of progressively worse. There's a patch for Nick. So apologies there if there was any children watching. Anyway, we'll keep going to the next one. Now, this guy that was doing these, Danny's name is, he was getting really, really clever. So the next one was Bob from Bob Moog, designed a new synthesizer, but he doesn't know what colors to make it help Bob finish by coloring it in for him. So this is like a coloring in book, right? But the submissions just absolutely make you laugh with laughter. Look at that. Someone's colored the Bob Moog synth in. Yuli, what are you doing? Get away. And there was more, and then more and more and more. Like there was Sam had a Sam had a look in with his Furbies, and dearie me. And even Gaz William made it, and it was like trace the patch cable to the synth. It was so good. It was really, really, really clever, and I just honestly, it had to be shown. I mean, if you've never seen that, obviously there's a treat for you. I mean, most of you would have seen it on Facebook, but I just think it was so well done. And Danny did an awesome job. It even got so funny that this meme came out as a result of all the other memes. And but Dad, it's a 10-hour drive. I'll be bored to death. I've never heard of NobCon. Don't worry, I've brought you a box of felt tip pens and the new synth memes colouring in activity books. So check it out. And he's just like, who the hell's Nick Bat? And there's his reaction down below. I love it. It was brilliant. Well done. Now, Robbie, if you're in the show, I don't know if he's there, Failed Muso, he posted this during the week of a famous synth reviewer in Japan. Turn the subtitles on. YouTube subtitles, don't you just love them? Coke without a toilet is wonderful. Direct translation of Japanese. I don't know if that's quite what he was saying, but that's what YouTube algorithm thinks it should have been. Anyway, gentlemen, what did you think of the memes this week?
That was good. Funny. Yeah.
Have you seen any of those before, Jonas, on Facebook? Just out of curiosity.
Well, no, I haven't. But I do like to see funny videos on YouTube once in a while.
Yeah.
For me, that's like the best way of relaxing that I can think of. All kinds of
crazy videos. Yeah. And what about you, Daren? Did you catch any of those memes? I know you don't use Facebook, so they would have probably been a first for you. And you're muted. You're muted.
Yeah, they're a first for me. In fact, I haven't caught anything because I've had all computers down and my laptop ain't working. So I've basically been off grid virtually for the whole week.
Cool. All right. Well, then everything that's going to be showing on this show will probably be news to you. And what I'll do next is we'll hit the next segment, which is news. It does come from all over the world, and it arrives here in the Geekery, which is the stupid name for my studio, if you're wondering. Okay, first off the ranks. Now let me get my notes up. Is the Modor. This baby here. The Modor DR-2. It's a digital DSP drum synthesizer, not a sample player, not a PCM synth. It's a digital synthesizer drum machine with 6 individual instruments. No sample memory, as I mentioned before. Each drum channel can be set to one of 15 different drum models, which they call synthesis algorithms. Now, I will actually show you a little video as we do this. And I think it's this one. Video 1. Go. Let's play.
DR2 drum machine. The DR2 is
so while he's talking, it's not really playing any noise, but I can tell you that it is specific to drums and percussive sounds that the synthesizer is kind of tuned to. It has a master left and right stereo output plus 6 individual outputs, and also 24 PPQN clock input output and MIDI input output. Runs on 9 volts, and hopefully in the video he does give us some sort of sound, maybe? No sound? Come on.
That are multiple hits, reverse cymbals,
oh, here we go.
Kind of things. Thank you for listening. 16 notes. There are also the DR2 has.
There's hardly any sound, right?
15
okay.
to drum synthesis.
Anyway, not much of the sound there. Anyway, we will just move right along. Okay, so quick comment about drum synthesizers as opposed to drum machines, as opposed to groove boxes. So the key point here is the synthesizer itself. So that means that you've got the ability to actually sound design your own drum and percussive sounds. Now, Jonas, are you into that sort of stuff? Drum synthesizers?
I am. Yes, I am, definitely. Actually, I bought recently. I bought the old Nord 2.
Yes.
Because I'm really actually found I really I'm attracted towards the idea of not only that you can build your own sounds via synthesis, but also that you can make the sounds react a lot, much more than you can do nowadays with samples and stuff. Then the sound can be much more dynamic, and there's a lot of interesting possibilities with that. I think I think it looks really interesting.
Yeah. Let's have another quick look at it. So the layout of it, it looks pretty straightforward, but that kind of central part there with the knobs, I think that's kind of what they want to lure you to, where you've got the pitch, curve, decay, parameter changes, and then you've got this kind of YZT thing. So it'd be interesting to kind of know what that's all about. So you'll see that you've got A, B, C, all the way to F on the left-hand side. They're your 6 channels, and obviously those faders would probably be levels of some sort, panning maybe, and obviously down the bottom would be your sequencer. So yeah, anyway, the video will be in the description. We can go check that out later. Let's move on to the next one. Now, first what I'll do is I'll show it here, and then we'll go on. What we'll do is we'll have a look at the video about the Essence FM, because we don't have, this actually doesn't exist. This is just a 3D render of a computer. But if we've got the Essence showing in the background, we can kind of get the idea of what these guys are about. All right, let's do that. All right, so what you're listening to is the Essence FM, but I will tell you about this while we're doing that. All right, here we go. Kodamo are releasing a synth next year called the VFM. There's 2 models, a VFM 37 and 61. Obviously, different size keyboards would probably be the key there. That's the 37. It's going to be an FM synth offering pretty much similar sound engines to what the Essence FM is, what you're listening to now, except it's not going to be exactly the same, obviously, because that would kind of destroy the fact that they've released this other product as well. They are going to be offering a Fatar keybed, and they haven't really given us any more information about it, but just so you guys know, just to refresh your memory, this is real FM. Beautiful. If you want to buy the Essence FM, it's €13.90. Anyway, that looks exciting. Now, I know it's kind of early days, and a lot of manufacturers are kind of doing this now where they're releasing an idea, a render or something like that, and they just kind of, what they want to get, I think, a market reaction to it. So, Daren, are you starting to bite the FM cherry yet? Where are you going with FM at the moment?
Well, I can't say I've not got any FM because I've got the Akimi's Castle.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm sort of, I don't mind FM, but I wouldn't say I'm a big fan of FM neither. It's more, I think, what fits into my studio. It's sort of like FM's like, some people love it, some people hate it, and I'm sort of in between. I don't love it and I don't hate it. So it looks quite nice if that's what they're planning. But I see what you mean by them trying to get a taste of what people, the people really want it, because there's no point in building something and no one really wanting it. So I suppose it's a good way to go of sort of get it out there, but not actually have spent all the cost and money of building an actual instrument for people not to buy. So I thought, why they're doing it, and I think that's probably a good way to do it these days, because people are not splashing money out as they used to on anything they want in these times. So it's the best way to go, I'd say. So on the FM side, yeah, I'm sort of in between. I don't love it and I don't hate it.
Right.
So I'd always be interested in it.
One of the biggest kind of arguments you get with FM is there's not enough user control on the panel. Like there's not enough knobs, there's not enough sliders, there's not enough whatever. In this particular case, this will probably be a touchscreen type sort of affair. And it will have, obviously those buttons and things like that. So it's kind of along the Essence FM sort of way. But the other thing that I would probably I would mention too is it's interesting how they've kind of launched that render, and right kind of at the same time, Korg have released the OP6. Now, the OP6 it's a lot more user controls on the control panel. Some people have whinged that there's not enough. I mean, it's like a lot more than what a DX7 ever had, if you're talking about user controls. So there's a lot of people that are getting excited about that. So, Jonas, what about you with FM? Where do you kind of sit? And what do you think of the Essence FM and those sort of models from Kodamo?
Well, I've never seen it before, and it sounded really good in my end here. I think I feel the same way about FM stereo, actually. I think at the moment I'm really right now. I think the aesthetics of physical modeling is really in my mind. these days. But um, no, I like it. It sounded really good, I think.
Right.
So.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic. All right, we'll move along. We've got more. There is always more. Now, this one came out during the week. It's a render again. We're just showing renders this week. This one is from Behringer, and they are basically saying, we may be making this. They're not saying they're going to make it. They're saying we may be making it. I think they're just trying to get market sort of appreciation about whether this is going to go ahead or not. Now, all that they've told us is it's going to be a Eurorack rhythm sequencer, which is kind of a refreshing new idea, you know, because normally we see Behringer doing clones, right? So this is kind of refreshing. And the prototype that they're showing here will be a drum trigger sequencer. It has a 909 style button grid on the right, 11 individual outs, which is kind of a bit weird, having 11. I don't really get that. But anyway, maybe that's what they decided to cut and paste on the render. Not sure. It also looks like it has some good USB and MIDI connectivity in the design there. So that actually may be handy in the Eurorack. When you're thinking Eurorack, it's good to have USB and MIDI into that. However, I do kind of get the feeling I've seen something similar to this before. And lo and behold, I was right. I've actually kind of seen something very similar from Erica Synths. And it just took someone to to remind me that what it was. But I had the idea and I just couldn't remember what it was, and someone pointed it out. It's not exactly the same, but it does look very similar, and it is the same sort of idea. This is actually a sequencer for drum sounds, and it's a pretty good. It's not exactly the same, but anyway. But what Behringer did say about this is if they were to release it, it'd be around $149. Wow! Now that would probably get a lot of people interested. Now, I just on my point of view here, I do encourage Behringer to go down the route of designing their own innovation, not so much cloning. I mean, don't stop doing the cloning because there's people that love that, but actually develop a new product. I definitely am encouraging, like the Neutron, for example. You know, I think it'll be met with a lot more appreciation. So this definitely is a step in the right direction. Now, let's get... Who wants to have a quick comment about the potential rhythm sequencer from Behringer? Anyone? Daren?
I was actually going to say the same as you, actually, Rans. I've seen that somewhere before, and it looked like very much like Erica Synths. But I'm also on the same point as you. Yes, we keep the cloning, but yes, do something else like the DeepMind 12 and Neutron. Come up with some other things, and it's like, yes, it was looking good, and then as soon as I looked, I thought it does look very familiar. I mean, they've done a slightly different to the Erica Synth, but it is very similar though. But 140, 150, you can't argue, can you? It looks quite cool.
Yeah.
As long as it's I'd rather make it a little bit dearer and just build it a little bit better though, because I know that some of the Behringer modules are a little bit iffy on some other things.
Yeah, some good points there.
Just add a bit more cost to it.
Yeah, maybe a bit more quality. Yeah.
Yeah, because I think it's quite expensive. So.
I think it's when I began just to get into Euroracks, I was amazed about all the creative thoughts that was put into every module, and I think it's really what it's all about. It's getting some great ideas in there, and so I think, of course, the price is amazing, but I totally agree on the point of it's. I think it's really important that to try to bring some new ideas in to the products. That's more important than trying to compete on the price, I think. So
yeah, innovation,
if it makes
should equal quality and reimbursement for that quality. That's kind of what I would say. And I mean, Jonas, your company is definitely heading down that track. So you know, you're preaching the speak. You know, there's a saying, you got to walk the talk. You're doing that. So we'll definitely talk about that soon. Okay. Now the last thing was another Behringer product that was released. Now I don't usually do mixes and things in the show, but I thought this one is kind of, I don't know, this one's kind of interesting, and I just wanted to kind of gauge people's opinions about this. This is called the Flow 8. It's a digital mixer, 8 inputs, includes Bluetooth and app control. So when I say app control, you can control it on your phone, whether you've got Android or an Apple. It's got FX processors, and it's also an audio interface. Now, the audio interface is 8 channels. So that's actually pretty cool. And that, on that alone, may be why this is being shown by me to sort of spur the whole an 8-channel audio interface is actually a pretty cool thing, especially when you hear that it's only 229 euros. So, who has... let me just, before we get a question about this, I do want to give Taramara Music in Sydney, New South Wales a plug for doing the actual Behringer promo for this. How cool is that? Here we go.
Lover boy, won't you just speak your mind, boy? Don't be so afraid, though. Lover boy.
So today we're here to show you a brand new product from Behringer. This is the Behringer Flow 8. It's a digital mixer, and it's coming around Christmas time. It's got 8 channels of input, of which there are 2 stereo inputs, so you can get 6 channels in total with 10 inputs. It also has Bluetooth streaming, so you can stream music directly into it, and it's controlled by, it could be any device, any mobile device you want. There's an app to run it. Although you can run it directly from the surface, there's all sorts of other hidden functions that it can do, like EQ, compression. There's 2 effect sends on it, and it's a 10x2 USB interface to talk to your DAW. Pretty cool little box, and we're pretty excited to be able to have it here to introduce it to you.
Well done for him for getting most of that info out in around about a minute, which is pretty cool. There's another 5 minutes of that video where they go into a bit more detail about each feature. But one of the things I kind of like was that he was talking about how there's a few sort of hidden features that only the app can show you. So, for example, EQing and stuff like that, which kind of lends that interface to be smaller and not so cluttered with all the other sort of knobs and stuff. Now, I don't know whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, but interested in hearing your opinions, gentlemen. Who wants to have a quick comment about the Flow 8?
It's looking a little bit like a broadcasty type mixer, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, it's got that
looks
podcast
nice.
sort of feel to it, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. It looks nice, small, compact. Behringer have got, or did have, loads of mixers out, haven't they?
Yeah.
Of all sorts, some good, some bad. So I don't know what the preamps on it are like, because it's all right while making it, but you need some decent preamps on. So
Yeah, now, they didn't say anything, and someone could tell us in the chat by just quickly Googling it, but they didn't say anything about whether they had Midas preamps, and I think that would probably be a good thing if they did, and they should have probably said that, but maybe they don't. I'm not sure.
well, I mean, this is the only bit I've got kit that I've got left in the studio at the moment, and this is an old Behringer built like a tank.
Yeah.
And they seem to be a bit, the newer ones the ones I've seen up to now have been a little bit, I can't say cheap. They are cheap, but I can't say cheaply made, but they just don't seem to have that, I don't know, they don't seem to have that quality you're expecting. So some of the higher end stuff it's just that they keep whacking out all this very cheap stuff, which got them a bad name a long time ago. So as long as they keep the quality and nothing dying, then yeah, it looks a great little mixer.
Yeah.
Like I say, it looks more like for something for broadcasting, I would say, or like you said, podcasting.
I think if you looked at the rest of that video, I think they talked about the quality of the build on that, and I think they said it had a metal chassis on top. Pretty sure it said that in the video. I have to watch a lot of things during these shows, and sometimes I say things that aren't quite true, and someone can confirm that, but I'm pretty sure that's what the guy said in the Harmonix. Jonas, what about you? Is that kind of something that interests you, like a little podcast mixer that would kind of plug into the Mac and away you go, 8 channels?
Yes, well, it looks really nice. I think I I don't know if it's well, actually, something I've thought about for a long time. Also, is of course the amount of channels is a really good thing, and the inputs, the amount of inputs, and what I've been also found of the idea of making at some point, if there were someone to make, or if we could make at some point some kind of performance mixer with a lot of inputs for because for what I think is really interesting, this mixer I think is interesting for all the guys with a lot of outboard, of course. So yeah, it looks nice. Yeah, I like it. Yeah, that's
I
my
think there's,
comment.
yeah, fair enough. I think there's kind of a few different worlds with mixers. Like there's the DJ world, there's the studio world, there's the podcast world, which is probably a newer world to the mixing world. And
Yeah.
and believe it or not, and a lot of the guys that watch this show probably aren't in that world, but there's also the video world, and they need mixers as well. So
Oh yeah.
and there's probably a few others that I've left out, but do you know what I mean? So when you make a product, you can't really sort of make a mixer that is going to be perfect for every one of those scenarios. So, I mean, like I use a Presonus Studio Live mixer, and it's not really a performance mixer. I've got an MX1 up the top there. That's more a performance mixer, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you're right, yeah. Like if you're performing live, you kind of want a performance sort of mixer that has a bit more of that DJ sort of style mixer features in it. This one I feel is kind of more sits on your desk, and you know it's podcasty. So probably great for people like YouTubers and those sort of people. Yeah. Look, we're at the end of the news, but there's still one more bit of news, and this is probably the most important bit of news because that's why Jonas is here. And that is, we're going to talk about this great bit of kit here. It's called the T-1 by Torso Electronics. Now, Jonas, what I'm going to get you to do is I'm actually going to get you to do your what they call the elevator pitch on what this product is, and just introduce it. So, do you want me to play the video first? Is that the best thing to do?
Yeah, go ahead. That's a good idea.
Okay. Let's whack the video on. Beautiful.
Yes. So let me take you dive right into it. The T-1 is 16 track and 16 pattern and 16 bank MIDI sequencer with USB-C and MIDI in, out, and through with two gate output, four CV outputs, and sync reset in and out. And what one of the main ideas with the sequencer was to do, first of all, trying to make a sequencer that was a lot different from all the other sequencers out there. And what we really wanted to do was trying to just put as many good ideas and things that was fun, a fun workflow, put as many of those ideas into this. And what we really did was we combined a lot of different approaches. We had inside the unit, there's the Euclidean algorithm. There is like something similar to a MIDI delay of repeating, which also can be like, it's a mix of MIDI repeats and then arpeggiator. So there's different styles with up, down, diverge, and converge. And it has, and on top of this, it also has a lot of random modulation. So we really also was a little inspired by Euroracks, where it's almost like you can apply a modulation source on each of these parameters on the each parameter on each track. And what it really does is that it opens up. First, it opens it's a lot faster. You can build musical structures really quick, and second, it's a lot. It's actually a lot of fun while playing. So it also becomes like more like a performance instrument than many other sequences out there, where I think you have to plan a lot of what you're doing. And with this sequencer, you get a more fluent workflow and faster workflow, and this makes it really fun to play with. So it's a performance instrument, but it's also like a composing instrument. If there's a part in your workflow, in your session where you need some new ideas, you need to produce some MIDI, some new ideas of progressions and stuff like that. The sequencer is also really great tool for this.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And yeah,
that's cool. So what we're going to do is we're going to a bit later. We're going to Jonas has got one actually there, obviously because he's the developer amongst a couple of other gentlemen there that work with him, and he's going to show us a demo live, which is really really cool because these aren't out yet, and he'll tell us a little bit about when you can get it and what's the sort of projection of how that's going to work. And we're also going to take some live Q&A questions as well, and hopefully we can make Jonas even more nervous because he already is with the Q&A questions. No, I'm just kidding. It's all good. We're all musicians here. Now, I just want to make a quick comment. Like, I think the reason why I keep sort of gravitating towards this myself is because as a musician, I really like the the basis of arpeggiation. It's just a really, really good building block. And then to be able to sort of go a bit more crazy from that point, it's like launching into Euclidean sort of algorithms and pattern generators and being able to sort of musically sort of springboard off of that without actually having to program and sort of get bogged down into that sort of boring side. When you're kind of just doing it and you're just twisting knobs and it's, happy accidents happen and all these kind of cool things are being built from it. And the good thing about your device is it's just spewing out MIDI. So you can send that into a DAW and literally just click on the record button, your DAW, it's going to record all of those MIDI notes for you. So if you do have some cool little sequences that you've kind of invented with this thing, you'll record them and then you can always play them back. And it also work, I'm guessing, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, it'll be class compliant, right? So you'll be able to plug this into an MPC, for example, and record the MIDI in that. Is it definitely class compliant, isn't it?
Yes, I think so, yes. I will
double check.
I will have to double check. There's something I would like to say here, that this unit I have here is not the final product. It's a prototype, and we are still in the process of before we can we'll do pre-orders very soon. Maybe we'll talk more about that in a minute.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Can we just show what the new? Well, this is going to be kind of like the final render, isn't it? This one that you sent me through.
Yes, exactly.
So this is slightly different to what we saw in the video.
What it is.
So what's new on that that's not on the video version? So we can just point that out.
On the rear of the unit, there's obviously there's going to be CV and gate outputs.
Beautiful.
And also USB-C port in there, and we're also doing some minor things on the software side still, which is so the front panel has changed just a little bit. Also, we introduced a parameter called cycles, which allows for step-by-step sequencing and stuff like that. It also actually with the random feature, it opens up for some really cool tricks that this parameter is also in control of how many random the length of how many random events is happening. So I can talk about that in detail maybe
in a bit. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
All right, well, that's cool. That's a great sort of intro, and hopefully that's kind of got everyone thinking a little bit about what the T1 is going to be. And hold your questions for now, those who are in the chat room. Now, I did promise my Patreons will get first dibs at the questions, so they obviously, because they're supporting me that way, they'll get to go first, and then everyone else afterwards. Now, we will do quick Q&A after you do your little demo, so that's going to come up soon. But the next segment we've got is our famous Price Watch segment. And we do have to squeeze this in, and we'll try and be quick. You'll enjoy it, though, this week. No surprises this week, other than the fact that every week there is always something that comes up, like this Jupiter 8, autographed by Greg Hawkes of the Cars. And big hello to you, Greg, if you're watching. I know, you love the synth stuff. So 36,000 Australian dollars. If you're wondering what that is, just Google it in your currency. That's a lot of money for a Jupiter 8, and that's kind of getting into the silly land. Now, I don't know how important it is to have Greg's signature on a synth, but that may be, unfortunately, if you're actually gassing for that right now, it's been sold. So whether someone bought it or whether the listing got taken out, I don't know. Anyway, moving right along. This one is kind of a lesson learned. If you do take a listing, then it says slight damage to the synth. Maybe you might want to check the photos out first. This is a Prophet 5, and this is a real thing that happened. So the guy got it. So what you're seeing, all that sort of crunchy looking stuff that's all over the keys there, is the foam that's in the flight case has obviously got some sort of water damage to it and deteriorated, and it's just stuck itself all over the synth. and it's got inside. It's gone all through the keys, and I actually do have another photo of it too, which I'll show you. It's just, imagine cleaning that, hey? Ah, dear. Apparently, the guy that got this, he's decided that it's definitely salvageable. You'll definitely, I think, need to get a sander on that wood, though. It looks like the wood's kind of got wet, too. There was some photos of the circuit board as well. But yeah, buyer beware, that's for sure. What else have we got? Akai samplers. I kind of keep seeing these, hey? Akai samplers are going up in price. Is it just me? Now, I don't know whether £900 is over for this. It does talk about it having some inclusions, and I don't really know what they are. You'd have to be sort of in the loop with the Akai stuff to know what the IB802P output board is and the EB16 effects. Maybe they're add-ons, I'm not sure. But there you go, Akai sampler. Yeah. I think it's over.
Yeah, the EB16 was an extra board that you could put in it. I'd come with loads of effects, so you could run internal effects on it. And the other one was, I think, was extra outs and ADAT and stuff.
ADAT, okay. The gift that doesn't stop giving.
I think.
Big thank you to Marcus for inventing ADAT. All right, cool. And the last one is I never show guitars. It's a synth show. What the hell am I showing guitars for? I just thought I'd reach out for those people who like to play guitars as well as synths, that it doesn't just affect synth players. There are some dodgy deals out there. I mean, this is a wrecked Strat, isn't it, eh? It's very, very bashed. Someone may actually think this is cool. I don't know. But I'm not sure if it's £435 cool. That's for sure. All right, gentlemen. What was your favourite price watch segment? Who liked them? Who's going to buy the profit, eh? With all the foam, crunchy, crusty foam.
I think the profit looked really It looked really trashed. It was. It looked like dirt or something that was on it. It was, but it was the foam, of course. Yes, but
yeah,
that was really trashed.
Yeah. And Daren, you thought the Jupiter.
Yeah, that was quite cheap, wasn't it?
I mean,
what happens if his signature got rubbed off?
Well, you spilt your beer. Gary was pretty good though, wasn't he? You have to admit he was a pretty good synth guy. I shouldn't say was, he still is. I believe. So yeah. But yeah. Buyer beware, that's for sure. Okay, right. Now, Andy said, ooh, that poorly profit, I hope you can get it back to life, makes my Pro 1 look perfect. Yeah. The thing is, the keys actually looked that they were pretty okay. So he just needed to clean the foam off of it. And he said it was pretty easy to get some of that off. But there was a photo of it opening up. I can't show it. There's so many photos here. But there's a photo of it opening up and actually got inside. There was water damage inside the circuit. So he's got a bit of electronic repair work as well. And I think the forum post where I got this from, he was asking the question, should I invest in getting this repaired, or should I just go and buy a brand new Prophet 5 Rev 4 from Sequential? Because by the time I get this repaired, how much is it going to cost me? Is it going to be worth it? And I think most people were sort of saying to him, get it repaired. It shouldn't cost you as much as a brand new one. So yeah, that was sort of a bit of interesting stuff. Right, okay. We are going to get stuck in. Jonas, are you ready to do the big demo? Are you?
Well, I will, sure. I will show some stuff, and I am ready. I am. Let's see if.
Oh, brilliant! Look at that. Let me
the unit here.
Let me do it without your name tag. There.
Mm-hmm.
You see, it's nicely finished as well, isn't it? It's not. It's in that's a metal, isn't it? I'm sure it was.
It is. It is a metal enclosure, and this is silicone buttons with multicolor LEDs underneath it.
Yep.
And encoders, push encoders, and every time you push an encoder here, you'll see the track buttons here. By default, these are track buttons down here. but when you push down a button, you can it will become a screen for the parameter value
Yeah, right.
that you put down. So that is one of the basic some of the basics with this. So these buttons is by default track buttons. If I push down the pattern button, they will be patterns.
Yep.
If I push down the bank buttons, these will be banks. So and just by the orange light here is the selected track, and all of these, if I turn them now, they will affect the selected track.
Right.
And there's also a mute function here where you can mute and unmute multiple tracks simultaneously. And you can also do, with holding these two together, you can also do instantaneously mutes. So that's the basics around it. And the further down here, all the functions is really like down here. There's underneath many of these. There's a lot of cool features under each of these. And for example, I would like to talk a little bit about the random feature, because here in the first row, the random modulation curve that can be applied to each of these parameters by pushing down the random button and then turning an a what okay, yeah, and then you can apply random modulation to each of the parameters. On the first row, the random modulation curve will affect these parameters by each after each cycle, Euclidean cycle, and the on this second row, the random modulation effect will be affected on each step. Maybe I'm going too deep now, actually, but there's the main thing is that there's a lot of cool features underneath each parameter here.
Yeah. Yep.
And another really cool feature about the T1 is that it has a Ableton link, which I also can show real quick here. If I turn on link here, then this button tells us that the unit is now in link.
Yep. And it's
if I'm
pulsing to the
playing-
beat. Yep.
Exactly. And if I'll play a beat here in Ableton, which you can hear now, maybe.
Yep. That's
I can
coming
just
through.
jump in here. I'll just do a. And I can change the tempo of both the. And this is a really cool, a really nice implementation for this unit, because there's so many opportunities from getting help on composition and getting new ideas. The link is a fantastic synchronization format for being in time and making it. You can jump from one section of your arrangement to another, and that's a really cool feature. And I'm a big fan of Link. I think it's a really cool format. So it's synchronization over
Yeah.
Wi-Fi, I think, you already know about it.
Yeah. It's actually really handy. And the fact is that you've also got other devices that use Ableton Link as well. So Ableton could be technically your master clock if you like, and then you might have your MPC set to Ableton Link, and you've got your T1 set to Ableton Link, and anything else that does that, and then you're kind of sort of all in sync with the clock, and it's pretty stable. I have to say, I've played with Ableton Link a lot, and it's pretty stable. Would you agree?
Exactly, I would totally agree. I think it's amazing, and it's so much fun to play in Link with different DAWs, play together with other people, and we've also tried hooking up multiple T1s together, and we had a blast. So yeah, I'm a big fan of Ableton Link. Yeah.
Fantastic. Now, if
so,
if you're hearing a lot of noise from my end, it's just started to do that massive rain again, and it's probably coming through on the mic. So apologies if it's loud. Now, I do have the first question, and what we'll do is we'll do a bit more Q&A, but I just thought because JX3D was pretty instrumental in getting you on the show anyway, we thought we'd start with his question. You can see it down the bottom. Can the LED lights on the pad's intensity be adjusted?
Yes, that's the plan, and that's because this. What we are going to do is we are also writing a companion software with the T1, where brightness control can be adjusted, along many other things, MIDI configuration, Wi-Fi configuration, the Wi-Fi configuration, you can put in your local network or the network in your studio, and when you turn on the T1, it just jumps on your the same network as your computer. So it's an easy workaround like that, and also some CV gate configurations will be there alongside with the brightness control. Yes.
Okay, fabulous. Now, do you want to give us a little impromptu performance on it? Are you okay with that?
I am okay with that. I haven't prepared anything, so I have no idea what I will. I will just play around.
Yeah.
The only thing I have here is actually just the loop I played before, and I have a applied acoustic chromophone plugin, which
sounds good.
Is the two, and then I will just play around with it real quick.
Yeah.
See.
fantastic. Bit of marimba madness there, hey?
Well, yeah, well, that was just. I will tell you, I am completely unprepared. So it was just a quick. I just wanted to show something with a real, a simple sound. You can hear all the transitions, and the marimba is good for that because you can really hear all the rhythmic MIDI notes, and you can hear the notes, and you can hear also the melodies and stuff like that. And um, this was just a real quick thing. And what one thing I also did here, I used like a function where I can make temporary changes, and I can jump back and forth in different uh, different stages, and I can also do changes on multiple tracks simultaneously, and I can those changes I can jump back in time from the starting point, or I can save these changes I'm making along the way to a new pattern. So I can uh, gradually, I can. It's a fun way to make progressions and stuff like that.
Yeah, like you're building. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good way just to start building and doing stuff, and just like sculpturing the MIDIs along the way by turning the parameters. Yeah.
Yeah. Look, absolutely gassing for this. So very, very exciting product. Now, quick question. Another one from JX3D. He's asked, is there? Well, I already know the answer, so let's just go straight to it. So, can you talk a little bit about the companion app that's been developed?
Yes. Uh, well, as I mentioned before, the companion app will consist of MIDI settings, Wi-Fi settings, gate settings, and some general settings like brightness control. Um, and we're also talking about doing some extra stuff where you can transfer some phrases. There's something called melody phrases, which can be scaled in different ways, which is very much like an LFO or something like that. And maybe we're talking about making something where you can draw some curves and transfer them and combine this with the internal random modulation as well. And in the companion software, there will also be a section with the MIDI input. So all the embedded algorithms on the machine, such as the scales, the MIDI repeats, the Euclidean algorithm, all those algorithms will be available for incoming MIDI notes. So it will be a great companion with the MIDI keyboard as well, where you can do some really crazy stuff. And in the companion software, there will be some settings about how the T-1 should listen to the incoming MIDI. And I think that's about it. I may have forgot something, but I can.
I'm sure you'll remember. There's still plenty of time. That's fine. Now we've got another question. This one is from Richard. So I'm just going to add it to the queue. Just give me a sec. I've just got a couple of buttons to press, and then we'll go to here. So Richard's asked, and it should just appear down the bottom in a second. Just give it a chance to. There we go. Are the Euclidean rhythms applicable to melodic tracks? There is a limitation of other Euclidean sequences that make. What did he say? That make. That made me not buy them. Okay, so what he's saying is that there's other Euclidean sequences out there has sort of limitations. So maybe just expand, Richard, on those what those limitations are. So that if because Jonas may not know what they are. But I guess the question is applicable? Are they applicable to melodic tracks?
Well, of course, every the Euclidean rhythms is like the core of the sequencer. It's where the amount of pulses applied to the amount of steps is like the the core, and you can make each pulse can has is polyphonic, so you can you can make a chord, and um, uh, and all the and then you can make apply different kinds of uh, uh, MIDI, repeating MIDI notes afterwards, and so if I understand the question right, I would say yes. You can make everything. Every Euclidean step is can be modulated and can be arranged so each pulse plays different in different melodic ranges. I hope that answers the question. Um,
Yeah, yes, I don't know what's going on in the chat there, but it's he did start typing something, and then it says message deleted by the Google moderator team. I don't know what Google's doing in here, but big hello to you, Google. And can you actually just undelete what he just wrote, because I'm sure there was nothing wrong with what he said. Anyway, we'll keep going. So I think yeah, I mean the whole point about Euclidean is kind of that is sort of the merging of the pattern, the sort of mangling of the pattern. That's kind of what we, the randomness, I guess, is kind of what we sort of want from it. The glitchy randomness of patterns. So he was talking about a competing product. All right. I mean, name it. It's fine. Richard's saying he's talking about a competing product, but just name it. There's actually quite a lot of things out there that are sort of claiming they've got Euclidean stuff in.
Of course, there's a lot of products out there having a Euclidean algorithm. I think one of the reasons why we wanted to put it in the sequencer alongside with many other things, I think it's really about a combination of many great things that makes the T1 unique. But the one of the really cool things about Euclidean algorithms is also that if it's fast, it's building something. You can do stuff really quickly, and also in combination. If you imagine if you have done some random modulation and done some other cool stuff with many of the other parameters, then once you just add one more pulse to your Euclidean rhythm, then it will affect all the way through all the other things you've done. And then all of a sudden, this becomes like a unit where all these happy accidents happens. And yeah.
Yeah, and if you've got a polyphonic chord or something like that happening, it'll affect those as well. So it is melodic, Yeah.
It is. Yes.
So I think that's answering. Richard, just let us know if I'm pretty sure that's answering this question anyway. If you do have a question for Jonas, don't forget to highlight my name, because otherwise I won't read it, because there's just a lot of chat going on. It just gives me a little orange flag in the chat. So make sure you highlight my name, and then I will bring it up to Jonas. So keep asking questions. Like you can ask him to show you stuff as well. He's got one right there. So that's the whole idea with the stream, is to kind of get the product in front of you guys, because it's not available to the public yet. So the whole point is let's have a bit of a look. This is a prototype. He did say it's not quite 100% what the end product will be. So we did talk about what those differences would be. But I think the main one, which actually really kind of excited me, and I saw this when you sent me the email, Jonas, was the CV on the back. Now that's to me, yeah, you guys are going to win a lot of happy people, especially in the Eurorack land. And a lot of synths these days have got Eurorack CV connectivity on it anyway. So even if you don't have Eurorack, you may have a synth that's got the CV stuff on it, and you might have an Arturia Mini Brute or something like that, right? So this is going to be pretty cool. And the fact that you've got 2 gates and you've got 4 CVs on each. Now, I'm guessing the whole point with that is that you'll be able to assign the CV to each one of those CV outputs per track, I'm guessing, right? And then
Yes.
You've also got an assignable CV modulation, and you've got sync. So you've got a clock and a rest sync. Interesting. I might get you to explain the logic behind that. And then you've got MIDI on the other side. So, all right. So just tell us a little bit about the clock sync rest kind of ideology there. What's the sort of thought behind that?
Well, I think it was a good thing just to have. Well, we've been talking to a lot of people how they wanted also what they would like to see in these if they wanted to. Some people want to use another sequencer as their main sequencer in their Eurorack, and some might want to use it as a main sequencer for. So that was what we thought about. This was a good solution for this. And also, I want to speak about something really cool about the CV input, if I may.
Yeah, go for it.
A really cool feature for the CV input is that it can, when you patch in a CV, it can override the random modulation curve inside. It overrides the internal random modulation curve, and it's doing it in such way that when the random knob itself on the T1 is when you turn it up 12 o'clock, half of each event will make a change. And if I turned it up on 100%, then step on the way would be a new random event will happen. It's very similar to a module called Turing Machine.
Yes, right. Now I get what you're saying. Yep. So basically the voltage, so are you talking about sort of like attenuating the voltage, and then that will then determine the strength of the randomization curve? Is that kind of what you're saying?
Exactly.
Okay,
and
cool.
The cool thing about it is you can record in, so you can put in on the CV input, you can record in, if you turn it up 100%, you will record the whole CV input.
Right.
And then you can just turn all the way down, and then you've recorded this CV input. You can, of course, save this. Then you can take out the CV going to the input, and you can save this to your project and on the unit, and it's just a really cool feature. I think.
Yeah, I agree.
Will be.
Yeah, you do want to please the Eurorack people. I think this is gonna. I think the vision is that you're going to see this in front of Eurorack, what we call skiffs, cases. So I do have a couple more questions for you.
Mm-hmm.
So Grey Wolf's asked, can you ask Jonas to tell us a little bit about his Kickstarter campaign? And it went on to say, was it as you expected? Maybe some advice, lessons learned. Now he's, I don't know if I've mentioned to you, he's the developer of the Blue Arp MIDI arpeggiator sequencer sort of thing that I showed a couple of shows recently on it. So I think he's just kind of interested to know your personal experience with Kickstarter.
Sure. Well, of course, I think the Kickstarter went really well, and it went much better than we hoped for. Actually, we were really amazed about it. We got really drunk actually because we were so excited. So yeah, and
That's always a good
I
thing.
think also, I think also because we've been we didn't know what to expect actually from from this. I thought maybe we would I thought we would do like maybe we would sell uh, maybe 100 units. So and we ended up selling a lot more. So it was amazing. Yeah,
Yeah,
great.
yeah. Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good. Now he's got another question, but before we go to that, I'm going to ask one more. This one's from Magoo. He said, "I'm interested in the waiting list, general plans for release time and price."
Yes. So the plan is right now we're aiming for taking in pre-orders by the end of December. Hopefully, if everything goes well, and the price is 525 euros. Um, and we have a pre-order list because there's a lot of interest. I will recommend people to sign up for the pre-order list so they can get notified when we open up for pre-orders because uh, we'll uh, we'll get batches from our manufacturer, and we cannot ship everything at once. So it's the first one to sign up and make a pre-order will jump into one batch and another, and so we have a pre-order list, which this is where we'll send out to the and notify the first. There you will get notified
Yeah.
when we are doing the orders. So
So crystal ball stuff, and no one's going to hold you to it. This is kind of just like let's call this a pub bet, right? When do you think this is going to kind of hit the streets?
well, um, hopefully, I think maybe we'll start shipping in March next year, and then we will ship in over uh, um, uh, for the next month a lot of units. Right now, we are. I have to say that we are still in development, and we are now in a couple of weeks we'll get the final prototypes from our manufacturer, and uh, we are hoping for everything goes smooth. And of course, we've experienced some minor delays from some manufacturers. It's strange times these days, and
Yeah.
this this might we might run into Chinese New Year as well, and but we are hoping for the best, of course, and we're doing everything we can to deliver first to all our Kickstart backers,
Yeah.
and then we all the other interested musicians out there. So
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. But that, I mean, that's a good thing, right? That's a good thing. I mean, you've got a product that has got people really, really interested, and I think the reason for that is purely because this isn't kind of one of these laborious programming type modules. This is something that you're just going to plug in, and straight away you're going to start be able to create some sort of musical melodies out of this. And I think that's kind of what's got people excited about it. It's a different take on sequencing, which I agree with you, Jonas. I think that's the smart way to go about it. Take a bit of the programming out and more of the performance in is definitely a way to go. Now, so Grey Wolf had another question, and I guess this is kind of he's in this world, he manufactures and that, but he's just kind of keen to sort of know hardware design. Other people may be bored, but can you ask, is there a sort of any sort of stories or tips, I guess, about the whole sort of journey with the hardware design and that sort of stuff?
Well, I think maybe the journey has been long actually, because the guys that I'm building it with is two engineers and a product designer, and we've also building up a great friendship, and we actually met each other because we wanted to. We shared the love for hardware instruments and possibilities and combining technology and music. And actually, we've been working on this sequencer for quite some years now, actually. Yeah, I don't know. That's
No, I think that's kind of the general sort of feel that I get with a lot of people that do these things is even Oleg Grey Wolf, he's been working on his since 2017, so and he's still at the beta stage now. It's kind of one of those things. If you're not fueled by a massive conglomerate company, like no one is, like these products have got to come from sweat equity, right? Blood, sweat, and tears. And a lot of people don't realize what goes into developing something that in the end will get to the end user, and they'll probably get this device and they'll love it, they'll may not, I don't know, whatever the case is, but they probably won't understand the history behind it, the energy that's gone into it, and far outweighs the price that anyone charges for these things. So I kind of feel that's where he was sort of asking. I think you've answered it. So Richard, the price was €525. I think someone's already answered that in the chat. So that will be the pre-order price, which you can do now. So you can put your name down. Now there'll be links in, well, there already is on the description of the video. There's links to all Torso Electronics Facebook, Instagram, I think's there, their website, of course, even their YouTube channel. All of that's in there. So, and they've got stuff already on all of those socials. So do check them out. Don't do it now because we've still got a little bit more to go on the show. And definitely keep the questions coming in, because I think that, once we finish this show, you're probably going to think, damn, I should have asked this. And, you're going to find out that, you should be asking it right now. So if you're actually not in the chat room and you're just sitting back with your feet up, or if you're lying in bed or whatever you are doing on YouTube, jump in the chat room and you might have a question for Jonas, or maybe you don't have a question for Jonas, maybe you have a question for Daren, because you probably want to know what the hell is he doing to his studio up there in Manchester. He's stripping it apart, and is he going to sell his CDs? What's he going to do? We're really not sure. Is there going to be a track tomorrow? That's the question. So
did you watch the one last week?
Did we what? Sorry.
Did you watch the one last week?
Yes, I did. You want to say any more about that, or are you just going to leave it like that? Leave us hanging.
Oh, I was just asking whether you'd watched the one last week. That was all. Because I didn't plug it. You just have to keep looking on the channel, because at the moment I'm not sure what sort of videos will come out. But there'll be some sort of stripped down video probably tomorrow. Just pictures and stuff of the stripped down, and then it'll be an ongoing story. So it'll be the stripped down and then the rebuild of how I want the studio to be, if I can get bits that I want, because some of it I can't build until I've got them. So yeah, so that's what will be happening on the channel, as well as tracks as well. I've got quite a lot planned, but it's getting to do it when the studio's down.
Yeah, I mean, we could do this, couldn't we? If everyone's actually wondering what Daren is actually talking about. you borrow my drone, Daren, for this?
No. I could have done.
All right, we're going to leave you there hanging because I want you guys to go to Daren's channel and check that out. I think that's awesome. And I want you to click the big thumbs up on his channel too, because he told me that he drinks that many beers. How many thumbs up you give him on his videos each week. He goes to the pub and that's how many beers he drinks. No, I'm just joking. He doesn't really. Right, Jonas. I've got another question for you. Now, the first one is from Inky, and she's in the chat, and she's asking, okay, so how many tracks will it sequence? And I think that's 16, but we'll get you to answer that. And how many notes will it sequence?
So it, as you said, 16 tracks, and I think each track has. Oh my God, I almost forgot now. It has a 8-voice polyphony. You can put in 8 notes in the piano here. And each track has like a piano where you can set the scale and stuff. And there you can put in 8 notes, but on top of that, you can. There's a voicing parameter where you can add up. I think you can play 32 voices simultaneously, if that makes sense.
Yep. And how many steps?
How many steps?
Yep.
Well, it has 16 steps.
Yep.
The Euclidean has 16 steps, and it's. I want to mention that it's 32 notes simultaneously, and of course, it can play 32 notes on each tick. So it's a massive amount of MIDI. Actually, it can produce. We've done some really radical testing where we just made it produce tons of MIDI really fast. And if you have the the synth or your DAW, if it can manage to play it, you can do like these strange new timbres of sounds with stuff. So it can produce a huge amount of MIDI.
Right. Be good to see this
Yeah.
plugged into like a Blofeld or something, just to see how that goes. Okay, next question.
Yeah.
Wagoose asked, on your website, it says randomization can be added to every parameter on each track. What kind of parameters are available?
Yes. So if I should run through them real quick, um, on the it's getting darker and darker here, but the first two in the first row, the first four is related to the Euclidean algorithm. So it's steps, it's pulses. Then there's this cycles parameter where you can add how many cycles, and you can Euclidean cycles, and you can go in and you can edit each cycle, change the pitch and all kinds of stuff for each Euclidean cycle. And there's also a division parameter um, for the Euclidean algorithm here. And then there's velocity, sustain. There's a pitch parameter which transposes, or you can put in multiple notes and make chords. There's a length parameter, which is really, it has some great functions in there as well. As default, it's always set, the length parameter is always set to infinite. That means that each pattern on this unit, if you are making polymetric or polyrhythmic structures with different lengths and division times on the Euclidean algorithm, these will uh, progress over infinite time. But you can also make the pattern shorter from 16 bars down to a really short notes. And there's also, in combination with control, there's also a quantize feature. That's the secondary function for this parameter, and those two in combination lets you scroll very similar to a granular sampler. You can scroll through different sections of your all the MIDI, and then if you'll turn back to infinite mode or something in grid, then you'll jump back in time where you were before. So it's like it's the length button where you can set up the length of a pattern or how it should quantize jump from one pattern to another. Is also a performance parameter where you can do glitches and repeats of different sections of the MIDI and jump back to where you were. So that's a really cool thing. And of course, then we have a tempo button. And the section down here is the arpeggiator or MIDI repeats section. You can apply how many repeats after each pulse, and you can change the time division of these repeats.
Yeah,
and you can do voicing as well. And there's a melody curve which will transpose the pitch, and you can also scale this melody curve in lengths. And there's accents and timing, which is there's 16 groove programs in there, which will apply different dynamics to each MIDI note. And the timing is also like a swing parameter, but not like a swing parameter in percentage, but it's more like a groove that you've seen in Ableton, for example, where
Yep.
the more you turn up, the more it will each MIDI note will just try to turn into a grid of the groove. So, and then there's a scale button, a scale parameter, sorry, which allows you to switch between 7 different scales. And there's also a user scale where you can mute or mute which tones you don't want in your scale. Very much similar to like if you're working with an auto tune or something like that. And last, there's a MIDI channel that lets you uh, choose between 16 MIDI channels. This MIDI channel will also be the parameter where you can select the CV gate outputs. And finally, there's the random modulation button, which I've already talked
Yeah.
a little bit about
Yep.
later on. And actually, you can apply random modulation to, say, MIDI channel as well. That's
Wow.
fine.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah, I like that. I like that. We've got more. We've got more questions. Let's keep them
Yeah.
going. Okay, so Azio Head's asked a couple of questions. I'll just grab them both for you. Would like to know how far you can take the chords option. And the other one was how do you do the chords or add can you do chords or add that to firmware later since you play a lot of voices and all the scale functions are in there? I think you've already answered that, but just I think more about the showing the chord option, how you do the chords on this would probably be better. Yeah.
Yes, I can show you exactly how it works. So I have a track here, and if I push down the pitch button, pitch parameter knob, of course, here, it's maybe a bit difficult to see, but here is like
keyboard.
1 octave keyboard. And what I'll just have to do is just place more notes. So there's a C major and a minor here. And on these red buttons over here, you'll scroll through the octave.
Nice.
And there's also a lot of other features, like if you hold down this button, you can transpose the inserted notes instead of scrolling through them. And you can also turn this, and it will be shown on the keyboard and turning the pitch knob. So you can both turn and you can do stuff like that. If I'm holding down the control function, then I will move one note at a time, which is really cool function if you just want to scroll around, make a bit some changes in the chords. It's a fun feature which is also in there. So that I think that covers it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Cool. Now, Grey Wolf asked about the inspiration, sort of early days when you and your buddies were together and you were kind of inspired to do this. So maybe just a quick sort of story about that, and just sort of give us the feel about how this product became what it is now.
Sure. I think I think maybe actually with we all in the Torso team is really into all kinds of gear and programming and stuff like that, and we've been very much inspired by a lot of the things going on with Eurorack the last last couple of years, and also we've also worked a lot with programs like Super Collider and stuff like that. To actually, it's also a good program to get inspired. It's like for those who don't know Super Collider, it's like a program where you can program a lot of logics and also sounds and sequence them. It's actually like a coding the DAW audio production. Yeah,
Yeah, I've
I
heard
don't know
of it.
if you know it, but
Yeah, I've heard of it. Yeah.
yeah. And of course, we've all owned a lot of machines. I've been a big fan of Electron machines for many years, and I've owned all of them almost, and I've sold some of them again because I can't keep it all. So, and it's just there's been a lot of inspiration. I think the thing about those with the Electron machines was they really invited people into a way of working also, and that was a great thing for those who like. I I like that, and they also inspired me to think of even more, even some new ways of making it, some new ideas and some more fun and faster ways to do do sequencing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a group of you guys. There's I think there's a story on your website about it. There's a computer science guy. There's industrial design guy, musician, and you're kind of all musicians in your own sort of in your own rights. And you kind of there's four of you, right? And you've all sort of got together, and that's how the T1 has evolved because great minds merging together and adding their bits of expertise together, right? So, have I got that bit right?
Exactly, 100%. Yeah. So it's we have been driven by just the love of trying to using music and technology and make something fun and like trying to do make new tools available for people to get inspired and so
Right.
you're absolutely right. Yes.
All right, let's see what other questions we've got in the queue. Okay, so that's answered Oleg's question. We'll go to Mr. Max questions. All the ports in the back should be labeled on the top panel and also upside down on the back. Okay, maybe not upside down on the back, but that's a good suggestion to label them sort of at the back on the top so that when you're actually trying to find out, okay, that if you're feeling those 3.5 millimeter sockets on the back, that one is CV number. Is that a good idea, you think?
I think, and we've also already talked about it, that everyone, when they're grabbing a unit, they'll always look like this.
Yeah.
On it. I think that's what he's meaning, right?
Yeah, that's what he means. Yeah.
And it's we can see it's in our consideration for sure. Yeah.
It's a good suggestion. Yeah.
I mean,
it's your kit, so you do what you feel you need to do. But like sometimes people say these things on these on these shows, and you think, yep, you know what, that is a really good idea. I think we'll do that.
Yeah,
and
really.
It's
actually
good to be humble.
The feedback.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. All right. Well, the questions are kind of drying up, but a lot of people are sort of saying similar stuff. In terms of the measurement, now I saw you holding that in your hand. Is it kind of like a key step? No, it's a bit shorter in terms of width, isn't it? That way, it's kind of.
Yeah, it is. I can't remember the dimensions of it, but it's
I might have
it's
that actually. I might have
it's
that.
like around 30 centimeters. I think it's on the website, but it's quite small. We're also making a carry case for it, so you can carry it around. Um,
It's 304 millimeters wide by 114 millimeters deep. So
exactly. Thank you, Rand. Yeah, yeah.
and also something else that a lot of people don't really talk about is the fact that it's only taking 500 milliamps or half an amp of USB power, which is 5 volts, right? So, like
Mhm.
when you think about that, that's not going to drain. If you say, for example, you're powering this into your camera connect cable into your iPad, that is not going
Exactly.
to drain your iPad battery that quick. It's actually fairly low power. That's actually a really good thing. So you could
Yes.
you could have this hanging off your MPC Live, which has got a battery in it, and they're an 8-hour battery. The MPC would be able to power this. So there's some
Yeah.
examples. So that's actually another cool thing that you could probably talk about as a benefit to this. It's kind of portable.
Yes. And also the possibility, as there was a question earlier on about adjusting the brightness of this, because the big power consumer here is the LED
Right?
lights
Yeah, of
on
course.
the unit.
So
And
you dim
that,
them. Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
yeah.
Richard's asked, silly question, but does it ship with the TRS DIN MIDI adapters? Okay, so you know how you've got on the back, you've got the MIDI to be the 3.5. Are you going to actually put the little adapters in the box with it when you ship?
Yes, we will. We'll ship it. Will ship with a USB cable and DIN adapter.
Okay, beautiful.
DIN adapter. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's good.
Actually, one thing I thought of, I wanted to mention,
Yeah, sure.
Rance, maybe I'm jumping a little around here, but there was one thing that is, I think it's important to mention that the unit can also be a sequencer. In if you're uh, holding down the pulse menu, you can add pulses, but you're
Right.
also able to just uh, point in different notes, and you can
Yep.
combine them. So there's two layers of sequencing. There's a layer of the Euclidean algorithm. But on top of that, there's also a step sequencer layer. So it's possible to do more regular step-by-step
Yeah, nice.
thing
Yeah, I think
as
that.
well.
Yeah, that's definitely important to mention because sometimes you might be thinking, okay, this thing's kind of crazy and it's doing too many crazy things. I just want to kind of go back to basic steps, and it's there. That's really really cool. Yeah, awesome, awesome, awesome. So I've just closed my window. Fantastic. All right. Well, it's would have been streaming for about 2 hours now, so it's probably a good time to wrap the show up. And because Jonas is probably dying to go to the pub and have a beer with his mates, and it's kind of the end of the. He's got through it. He hasn't died. He's still alive.
Woo!
No, you've done really, really well. I really appreciate you coming on. And look, I think this is the start of things, for you to do more of this. Get out there, get the word out, tell the world about how cool this product is. Because if it makes people more musical, then that's a good thing. You're giving people a tool that will help them be more creative, and I think that's an empowering thing. And that was kind of your original thought about this, right? It was let's get people being creative and give them a tool to do that.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And thank you so much for having me. It was really nice, Rance. Hopefully, I can come again another time.
Anytime. You're welcome. Yeah, absolutely. We loved having you here. It was good. And big thank you to JX3D. Obviously, he was instrumental in connecting us together. So if he's still in the chat room. I haven't got any beer left, but an empty cheers. I'll go and get another one in a minute. To you. And Daren, also nice having you. What did you think, Daren, now that you've seen Jonas and you've kind of seen the T1 in more detail? Has it kind of lived up to your ideas with it?
Well, yes, because I pointed this out, or we pointed this product out. Oh, it must be getting on for a year now. I'm sure it's going to be a long time ago.
It would be, yeah. Yeah.
When I first spotted it, and it looked sort of good then, and it hadn't, they hadn't really got anywhere with it. And as they've adapted it and listened to feedback and changed it, like the CV that came in not all that long ago, I mean, that just made a big jump, and it was like, oh yes, it's going to work for more people. Like you said, the modular side and door side, with it being you'd be able to carry it about because it's not huge. It's great. It's looking better and better every time I hear about it, and it's looks like it's built nicely as well. It looks a good feel, good size,
definitely,
and
solid.
built well.
Yeah,
and they've not used the micro
USB
either, so that's always a
yeah.
So you've got a good there. Yeah. So yeah, it's looking great, Jonas. Really, really nice, and the features on it are, like you say, you can always go back to a simple step sequencer, which always comes in handy, and that's great. But it can also do so much on top of that, and it's one of those, like you say, if it's easy to use and it gives you those lovely happy accidents, then it's always a good starting base for any product, I think. As long as anything that you have to delve in for and learn manuals about, always seems to, I'm not saying they're never good products, but they always seem to take that inspiration out of you. Whereas if this feels like you can just put it there, start to play about with it, and ideas should just fall out of it. And like you say, if you can just record just the MIDI that it spits out, and I'm really liking it. It's looking good.
Yeah, I can definitely see this being something that I'll put through its paces. That's for sure. I mean, I was just thinking, just off the top of my head just then, what I could do with this, and there's so many little sort of ways you can connect this up. Like I've got an MPC behind me here. I don't know if Jonas, if I've actually shown you this stuff behind me. So let's have a look.
Oh, and it's one as well.
So you've got MPCs here, Akai Force. What else we got? MPC Live here.
Oh, nice. And this, the blue.
And we can also
blue
this was interesting too. Like connected up to the Expert Sleepers FH2, which is a MIDI to CV module, and you can connect it directly into that because it's actually got a host port. So see how there's a USB cable there now? That one there.
Yeah.
Just above it, there's an empty USB socket. So you could plug the T1 directly into that.
Exactly,
and all of those little spare ports that you can see, and then you can get an expander module for that. So you could map out the T1 straight into Eurorack land. And then that's just hardware. So, we could then, you can go into Ableton and go crazy with the DAW side as well. So I'm thinking about all the cool things that you could do with this. And if that's inspiring you to think that way, I think that's a good sign of a good product. If it gets you excited.
The good thing I like as well is coming in the carry case, you can literally just take it out with you, mobile, and it's sit there creating ideas with it, rather than having to take a huge or anything that has to be plugged in, USB, laptop, you're out noodling. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, exactly. And what did we say it was? It was only about the size of a ruler, 30 centimeters wide. 304 millimeters if you want to get exact. So, you think about a normal school ruler that you take to school with you, right? That's how wide this thing is. So technically you could put this in your pencil case. Do you know what I mean? So that's a cool thing, right? Think about all the younger generation They're going to chuck this thing in their school bag. That's what they're going to do, and they're going to make, you know, plug it into their iPad, make beats with it. It's a cool thing. So just you got to look at all the world and how they'll embrace this product. Anyway, we shall finish up. A couple of guys in chat saying, I do have a cam on the back of the room if you really want. I can do it. Actually, I don't want to. I won't do it. I won't worry about it, but I can. I've got this cam that I can control. Yeah. What are you showing, Daren?
It's just a bit bigger than my
the Apple keyboard,
basically.
Yeah.
Just a tad bigger than that. So perfect.
So what?
Just a little bit longer, maybe. Yeah.
So what Wagoo was wondering is, do I have a camera on the back of my room? There you go. And I can zoom in, zoom out. You can zoom right in. The lights aren't on at the back of the room at the moment, but yeah, there you go. Yeah. Just to prove Wagoo wrong. All right, we're gonna wrap the show up because otherwise we'll just keep talking about nerdy stuff, and you guys can go off and have your beers and all that sort of stuff. Big thank you for coming on the show, Jonas. I really appreciate you giving your time. Big say good day to all the other guys at Torso Electronics. Don't forget, everybody who's watching this, go check out Torso Electronics website. Register your interest if you're interested in going on the pre-order list. I think it's going to be something that you'll probably want to do, because if you think about it, it's going to be next year by the time these start hitting people, and then you'll start seeing the YouTube videos with these things being used, and you'll think, I had an opportunity to put my name down for one of these, and I missed out because I was procrastinating that decision. Don't procrastinate, just do it. It's at the end of the day, it's only money. That's what I say. It'll come around in the next paycheck. All right, guys. Brilliant. Thanks for everyone for watching, and we'll catch you all next week, same time. See you later.
Studio rebate tomorrow.
All right, we're going to hit this magic button and